Hey, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends, the episode where we kidnap a Canadian.
Yay! We've done it, finally.
We all
Before you
hopped in the
This is
van,
why I'm
made the
supposed to
drudge up there.
apologize to you guys, right? So,
Well,
sorry.
well,
Sorry.
well, Bree
sorry.
told us that we needed to go kidnap somebody in Canada, but I guess we got the wrong person that we were supposed to
wrong
kidnap.
coast.
Okay, so, it's just, we all know how incompetent me and Seth are, so that just makes sense.
I just
Anyways,
put the address in Google Maps, and we showed up where we showed up.
We just kept driving, so.
the fact that they let us pass the border was incredible.
Yeah,
Truly.
and I didn't get detained this time.
I mean,
Well,
you've
that's a
already
good
been
trip.
kicked. You've already been kicked out of Canada. I've never actually been.
Not by the government. There's a difference there.
We like to talk about past traumas on this show, especially Seth's.
Primarily.
Surprisingly, mostly mine,
Say
actually.
primarily.
It's because you're the one who's like you're the single one on the show, so everything is just kind of like.
That's true. Oh, so I'm the saddest, is what you're saying?
I'm just saying
That's
we're
fine.
here for you, Seth. This is your therapy session.
Thank you. This is a lot cheaper than a real therapist. Better help
Because you
can't
don't
even...
like Canadian healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. We've made that joke before. Specifically,
Yeah.
specifically Bree's plot to have her dying partner, get all that stuff sorted.
He's very old and sick, and you all have heard me say that, so thank you so much.
Anyways, how's everybody been? Seth, what have you been up to?
A whole terrible lot. Dealing with my landlord. I got mice, and I'm arguing with them over how to take care of that. So that's fun.
That's fun.
But
Yeah,
that's the big thing that happened to me this week, was finding a mouse in my kitchen screaming and running out of my house and then calling my landlord. So,
was it a mice or was it a woman?
that mouse. I don't scream at women anymore. I've been slapped too many times. I've learned my lesson.
And that's the bare minimum. Bree, how about you? How have you been?
We were talking in the pre-show that I got a new tattoo, and I'm very excited about it. So that was nice and very unexpected. I had to move the whole podcast. Thank you so much for letting me move the podcast to get a tattoo. I promise it's for a good cause. And I've just been working too much, but I have a vacation next week, and I'm very excited about that. My partner's going to be here, actually, so...
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about oh, hey, we're going to be recording on May the 4th. We'll be able to do some Star Wars topics. And then Bree's just kind of I can't, I need to move it. And then she didn't tell us why. We were both just cool. We were just yeah, no, sure, no problem. And then I see on Instagram, it's getting a tattoo done. And I'm just you're lucky I'm a cool boss who doesn't pay you.
Yes, exactly. What are you going to do, dock my pay?
Yeah. Pretty much, exactly. You are now being negatively paid. You need to start paying
I owe you
me,
money
Bree. No. So Emily was out of town next week, so I just kind of had a whole all right, what do I do with myself now that I'm just sitting in an apartment with me and my dog by myself for an extended period of time. So the typical stress cleaned, caught up on our media homework assignments. And that's really kind of just about it. Kind of leading into the whole May the 4th thing, I decided it's just I'm going to try and stream me playing Star Wars games, which resulted in none of the Star Wars games working on my computer. Granted, I was playing classic Star Wars games, so all of them are over 20 years old, and just we don't know how to work on modern hardware.
It's sad.
We're playing at 240p. We don't know what 1080p HD is.
Too much RAM for me to handle. I can't
Literally,
do
I
this.
tried to play Republic Commando, and literally, the mouse was too fast for it.
Oh,
Just the slightest movement, jumped the whole thing across the screen. It could not handle it whatsoever. It was hilarious. But yeah, so instead of doing a May the 4th episode, we're doing a Cinco de Mayo episode, so I hope everybody has some tequila or some, cerveza or whatever they need, or in Seth's case, some Dr. Pepper. I don't think he's going to do as many dab ribs as he did last episode.
No, but I am going to be shooting ketamine this whole episode.
Well, perfect.
Let's go.
Perfect. And then, everybody, we have a special guest here, Megan, formerly known as YouTube's Amber.
Yes.
So she's actually a good old friend of ours back from the movie club days that we talked about, especially in back our own origin episode. So I guess we'll kind of start with just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, used to hang out with all these folks doing ridiculous 12-hour Google Hangouts, reviewing stuff when Netflix was baby Netflix. You could still get DVDs sent to your home nonsense.
I mean, you can get a 30-day trial for free and just make a new email every month.
And not when everybody had this promo code, do this, do that kind of thing with it. And then met Bree at one of the VidCons, which was super, super awesome. And from there, pretty much dived completely out of anything social media related because turned 30 and life is super fun at that. So
that's basically the premise of this show.
Well, yeah, makes sense because
you thought you were out and we dragged you back in.
It's hard. It's hard to be 100% out all of the time.
Well, because you realize that reality sucks way worse than internet reality.
So true.
I don't have a lot of friends that watch, an entire season of TV in a weekend. So, miss that.
Well, you're among common friends here. Yes. That is what we do best more than anything else. As a matter of fact, we require it.
Yes. It's kind of the point of the show, actually.
Yeah. Speaking of requiring speaking of being required to watch something over... Like all
friendships in my life and relationships, it's conditional.
So tell me about that, Seth.
No, let's get to the topic of the episode, shall we?
All right. Well, this week's homework was assigned by Bree, and we were watching Arcane, based on League of Legends. And so, Bree, since it is your homework assignment, you need to take it away.
Oh, okay. I was like, do I know the plot of Arcane? I think I do. So
I don't think Arcane knows the plot of Arcane.
Yes, that's also a possibility. So I
picked
picked
Arcane. Crystals.
Yes. So I picked.
In fairness, it was League of Legends.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Honestly, I think it's so funny because I think this show is such a fucking hard sell. I was just talking to a friend. I was like, yeah, this show Arcane, it's based on League of Legends. And I was like, wait, no, please. I promise it's really good.
My entire synopsis will be based on that, trust me.
110%. I hate that this is a League of Legends show because, again, it is so hard to talk about. Even my friends who are not gamers at all, they're like, oh, doesn't that game suck and have a really toxic fan base? It has such a I don't know. It's everyone knows how awful League of Legends is and how terrible the fan base is. So this show Arcane happens, and in my opinion is so fucking good, way better than it has any goddamn right to be, to be honest, based on this arguably very simple lore. I know there is deeper lore in League of Legends, but it's pretty surface level. And in fact, especially, which we'll definitely get into later, but the characterization of Jinx, especially in this show, is so well done, so delicate, especially dealing with her mental health issues, which we'll definitely talk about. I think that's all I'm going to say about it. I kind of want to I enjoyed it. It's very female centric. I don't know if anybody watched the videos that I recommended, but that'd be helpful as well. But I'm gonna toss the mic to any of you.
I'll go ahead and take over.
I'd forgotten that those videos were an additional part of the assignment until today, so I only made it through half of the first one.
Yeah.
Totally cool. That's the more important one.
I skimmed through both. It was more or less just I got the synopsis of what they were saying. It was just okay, I'm already, I get where you're going from. I already picked up on those things. I don't need to go too deep dive into it. But yeah, no, my general impression was exactly where you is just the show is so good and it has absolutely zero right being as good as it is, considering it is a League of Legends property. Because not only is League of Legends and its community, like you said, very toxic and problematic, but even the company Riot has had a history of problematic behavior.
Yes.
They had a whole thing a few years ago about treatment of female workers, and they had literal walkouts like at the thing, they have a whole thing about their ownership and everything else. Just like generally, just kind of like the show, like the fact. I had a problem when I started watching it where it's just like, I want to hate this show. I want to hate this show so bad. And it's just like, why is the show good? Stop. Just stop being good.
Cut it out.
Mine was bad. The first time I watched it, I think I got halfway through the show before I even realized it was associated with League of Legends, just because I blacked it out. I was just like, no, the music is good, the artwork is good, whatever, it's fine.
Here's the thing. If you removed any League of Legends branding from this show and just not told anybody it was supposed to be League of Legends, it's like, let the League of Legends nerds know that, but like everybody else be completely oblivious to it, it would have been like a trillion times better.
Yes.
I realized while watching this that I have no idea what League of Legends even is. I thought it was like a medieval game. I thought there were going to be knights. Way off on that one. But yeah, the only thing I knew was that people hate the community. It's a great show. That's really, really good. Like on all fronts. Like you guys have eloquently put before me.
I talked about it last week. My ex-girlfriend tried to convince me to play League of Legends back in the day. And, like, I played it. I know what the game is. And I'm just kind of like, this kind of sucks. And we're just throwing cats into the room now.
You got to.
Scratch the door. I'm like, okay, just come in here.
Look, Theo and Dante like to cause a havoc every time on Bree's side, so now
Dante's
she's in company. Yeah,
The dogs
normally
asleep.
I was about to say,
Sorry.
it's all good. But no, like, so my ex-girlfriend tried to get me to play League of Legends back in the day. I played it. It's just like, this game kind of just, like, it's meh. It's like you maybe play it a couple of times where there's nothing really much to the game itself. Like, there's some people who get really into it. It became an esport and all that stuff. And then Bree, like you brought up, like
game.
Yeah, like Bree, you brought up that, like, yeah, there is like some lore that they had, but the lore was basically probably just like 2 or 3 paragraphs of like something that they just kind of wrote, and like it didn't have to make narrative sense.
Right.
And you could tell by the show specifically, it's just like, considering how like much League of Legends has in terms of like characters and stuff, this is like super pared down in a way that they had to do to make any of the show make sense.
Yeah, and still a lot of characters. Still, like, honestly, it's a pretty big cast here, but they narrowed it down because if I'm not mistaken, League of Legends has like a gazillion characters. So
yeah,
many of you who are not in the game that are in the show.
I actually have a list of characters pulled up right now, just because it's just like I can't rely on myself to remember everybody's name when we're having conversations. So I literally
Super fair.
Oh yeah, that douchebag. Fuck that guy.
I did want to talk really quickly, and I don't know if you all knew this. They did mention it very briefly in the videos I recommended. The like how technically beautiful this show is as well, because I believe it is rendered CG first and in a video game engine, and then it's like hand painted over that, and all the lighting is also painted as well. It's just like it's more of effect to like how lighting feels versus like the actual light in the scene. So this is why this show takes fucking forever to make. I believe the next season is coming out November of this year, which people are so pissed about, especially because it is only 8 episodes. But this takes so goddamn long to do, and well worth it, because like to kind of your point earlier, I'm like, the people who made this show love these characters. They love them so much, and they updated their designs super well to make, because I don't know if you've seen any of these characters' original designs in the game. Would be so fucking stupid in the show, but they really pared it down and made it a lot more digestible. And yeah, I'm like, I don't want to talk too much because I'm just like, I feel like I could gush about this game forever, but voice acting's great, music is great, the relationships between the characters are great, and the fact that again, to go from like this being such a female-centered show was also a very fucking bold move, and they made it work so well.
Yeah, they really, really did. And to speak more about like how beautiful the show is animated, one of my favorite sequences was that fight scene on the bridge between Jinx and
Echo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how it's like keeps phasing between the past with them playing, and it's going and that was so awesome to look at. It was just gorgeously done.
Yeah. See, one of my favorite things with it is the neat way they show Jinx's mental health, where she's having those flashbacks with the two kids that pass in the first couple of episodes. Because that's like such a neat way to show like a little bit of a psychotic break and just like little flashes. And the neon worked so well with how dingy just like everything else is with the show.
Yeah. And it also was like really creepy at times when she'd be like up on a perch looking down, and then there's suddenly a face behind her, and then it like glitches off. That was really cool.
Yeah, the animation, especially like the world that they created, is just so impressive to look at, and like especially like when you think of, and like I'm thinking of like League of Legends from like 2011 is like kind of like when I played it, and it's just like the fact that they were able to take that concept and move it into something and actually make it cohesive is incredibly impressive. And like, everything kind of just feels like the way it's supposed to, and that's very kind of thing. But I think, Brie, especially to your point, the characters and their relations to each other, I think is what really makes the show as good as it is. Because like, yeah, you have like very obvious relations like, Vi's and Jinx's relationship, but also like Vi's relationship to Vander and how it contrasts with Jinx's relationship with Silco, because they're both like portrayed as like a paternal sort of relationship, but like Vi and Vander's relationship varies, like he's protective of her, like he's trying to make sure that she's a strong person who's able to handle the world, but is still trying to protect her from the greater threat, whereas like Silco and Jinx's relationship is very unsettling and makes you super uncomfortable when you watch it. And it's because Silco is exploiting Jinx. And there's that exploitation of her character. And like, even though like a lot of, the breakdown of her mental health happens off screen, because yeah, you have like the big traumatic moment, like at the end of episode 3, I believe it was. That like is kind of like the big catalyst of what happens later in the show, but like anything that happened afterwards we don't see. And so a lot of like how Jinx becomes who she is happens over the course of that time that we don't necessarily see. And so that's what makes it uncomfortable for me, at least, watching that kind of like dissolve of her character.
Well, and her also, like, the way she, like, sits in his lap and stuff and kind of
that
straddles
exactly
him.
That is like that is the creepiest moment. I cringed so hard watching. I was just like,
very like baby doll Arrested Development, like
exactly that. And I think what makes it unsettling is because I know people who have been in those kinds of relationships and like displayed affection in that kind of way, and I've been kind of like, hey, are you okay?
Well, and you use the word exploitation, and I do agree with you, but I think it's also nurturing her in the wrong way, because which I didn't notice until the second time I watched it, but Jinx Powder at the time, it has this mental illness when she's a child. I didn't really notice it. There's a couple of those like little visual cues that she just very small, especially because sidebar, watching this again, I was like, man, these two girls especially have undergone so much trauma throughout their very, very young lives. It's a wonder that either of them are even slightly functional. And Vi also is going through the trauma of being in prison, but Jinx has, being exploited by Silco, but he's nurturing these very negative traits of her. So I feel like Vi could have just as easily gone a very similar way outside of like the mental illness, but Silco is like, hey, people fuck us over all the time. Everyone is against you. It's okay that you're this way. And then he just kind of amps up those like negative points to where she's so destructive, where it's almost like I heard this in another podcast where they were just like mentioning, it's almost like a self-harm technique for her, where she is so destructive to other people that is the only way that she can feel normal, because she is a Jinx. She's supposed to be destructive, and Silco really fosters those worst qualities in her.
Yeah, and I think specifically I used the term exploitation is because, like, again, talking about the contrast, Vander he didn't use Vi or the kids to advance his agenda. As a matter of fact, he was like kind of trying to keep them away from his kind of thing. Silco very much made Jinx a part of his agenda. Like, it was like Jinx was a tool, and that's kind of like the contrast that I specifically see, where it's just like where Vander was a protector of these kids and how everything else, Like, Soko specifically was just like, I need you to do these things for me to do the things that I want. And there's just that kind of contrast I get. And that's kind of where I was going with the whole exploitation thing. But you're right. Absolutely. Like, you know, she was absolutely broken in that moment. Like, obviously there was the trauma like prior to that, but you know, it's just like, it's the moment in episode 3, like after the whole thing happens, where it's just kind of like, you know, like Vi and her basically having their first interaction, and it's just like one of those things. It's just like, from Vi's perspective, it's like we had that entire situation under control. Like we had an escape route. We got Vander out of his restraints. Like, we had a blockade from the people trying to get to us. Like, we were gonna get out of that just fine. And because Powder interjected herself when she was explicitly told to stay home, resulted in that. From Powder's perspective, she 100% thought she was helping. She was doing what she thought Vi would do.
Yes.
In that situation, like everything, and like had completely no context. Neither of them were ready for that situation.
Yes.
And you can't be mad at them at all for how they reacted.
They're children. Both of them are children.
Yeah. Like, I can't fault Vi for how she reacted, because Vi reacted the way I would have reacted in that situation, and I can't fault Powder for reacting that way either. And so, like, because, like, that's what it came down to.
I don't know. Powder seemed like she was, you know, like what Brie and you were saying, Erin, somebody who had extreme PTSD that was feeding into her mental health. And then it's that she's getting taken out of a situation she feels like she has to contribute to because she put those people in that situation. And it's trying to like weigh that as a child. Children just react, like they don't think about the consequence of it afterwards, even though she's being explicitly told, like, hey, we've got it covered. She doesn't understand that. Like, it's just, you can't, like Erin said, you can't blame her for that. She's reacting how any child would.
Yeah. And also, like, I think very specifically, like, Vi and Jinx have the hallmarks of, like, the older sibling, younger sibling, right? Vi is constantly put in the situation where she has to be the protector, she has to be the leader, she has to be this bigger thing. And Powder was constantly babied. She was protected all the time, and like Powder didn't necessarily want to be protected. She wanted to feel like she was part of the whole thing and contributing. And so it, like, those dynamics like are very like kind of hard to think. And like, you know, as somebody who grew up, you know, with, you know, up to like 6 siblings at a time, like, you know, those dynamics of like the age difference and what responsibility each sibling has, like it creates those resentments, and it creates those like complicated sort of ways of going about it. And like that's why like Vi is like the character I relate to the most in this show, because like everything like Vi does and how she kind of interacts and reacts to things, it's just like, yeah, that's exactly how I kind of am in a lot of situations. And like especially like in situations where like I don't know how to react, I try to remove myself from the situation. And that's what Vi does when she interacts with Powder, and like she's just like, you did this, like I'm angry, I'm upset, I don't know what to do, leave. And that's what I would have done. But Vi also like tries to cool off and come back, but then like by then it's too late.
Almost immediately too, which is very impressive for, again, how young she is, and what she had was a very visceral, understandable reaction that your little sister kind of just killed your entire family accidentally, and all she did was yell at her and hit her. Like, in the grand scheme of things, pretty small reaction, especially for her to immediately try to come back, but she still holds that guilt up until like I think the time skip is like 10 years later, and she's still feeling that exact same way. It's again kind of amazing that she's not more fucked up at that level.
Yeah.
All right, so we focused a lot on Vi and Jinx. Do we give a shit about any of these other characters except maybe Echo?
Echo's really interesting, yeah.
I love
Echo. I was
Echo.
gonna say, yeah, Echo's an awesome like B plot character for the show, especially his interactions with the see, now I'm gonna need Erin's help with the name. Little fuzzy dude.
Yeah, the Chancellor. Former.
The Chancellor, yeah. Their interactions are super fun because it's very much a like, you're coming from this high place. You don't know what you're talking about here. Let me actually show you what it's like. By the way, I can probably help in these situations. But then
and that goes back to the contrast thing I was talking about, where it's just like there's the high contrast between like the upper city, like social political elites, and the undercity. There's the contrast literally between different characters, like Heimendinger and the character none of us give a shit about, Jace.
Jace is hot. How dare you?
He's hot, but he's stupid.
He was doing that hammer work.
Everybody
He
else.
was like, there's the steam, and he's pulling the thing. That was a great scene.
Absolutely. We all thought so.
Yeah, he's also stupid.
Well, yeah, but he's a himbo. That's why you love him.
He is. He's a golden boy. He just, he came from nothing and he got all this responsibility that he was not prepared for, especially political power. Like he's from a very, very humble means of, like, I believe his family, they make hammers and stuff. Like, so very, very simple means to be like golden boy, creator of this whole I don't know, upgrade of the city, and then boom, politician. Like, he has a lot going on. So, not the smartest. He pretty much does things like whoever said the last thing to him, that's like what he goes after, especially when there's a pretty lady.
I was about to say, he has the exact thing as, like, as soon as somebody tells him not to do something, he's just like, oh, I was told not to do something? Let me go do that exact thing I was told not to do.
Yep.
She gives me very early Jaime Lannister vibes, where it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just follow and do this because it seems like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A great hammer he builds, too.
Yes, and then he kills a kid. Whoopsie daisies.
So is the hammer thing going to be the new punches you with your eyes thing, Seth?
What?
You don't remember this from last week. Okay, you were too high. Got it.
No. I blacked out last week. I don't remember anything from last week.
You kept on trying to make the Cyclops joke of, like, punches people with his eyes.
Yeah.
And you keep on breaking up the... Yeah.
You were loaded. It's fine. You were lit.
You took 2 whole dabs on screen.
That's true. Also, going back, Victor really Full Metal Alchemist himself, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like, oof. No, I liked Victor, but I just like the weird Icarus arc of him, like, just getting a little too close to perfection, and then it's like, oh no, wait. It's just like, okay, everything goes to shit because of where you came from, reporting to these people, and then it's like, okay, well, let's explode this nice character so Jace has something to do, and there's, more mystery.
Yeah.
More accidental murder. It happens sometimes to the best of us, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we want to go down the rabbit hole of all the political implications of this show, like, woof, we'll be here all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this, like, really briefly, because I know we kind of
might get arrested, depending on if a bill goes through.
Well, none of us are on college campuses, right?
Up here too with that, so.
Oof.
What a nightmare.
Fun times.
But let's talk about a fake world instead, because that's something we just came to.
Which was the entire premise of the show.
Yes.
I'd rather be fighting over magic.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And political machinations and whatnot. We could touch on this briefly, but just because I've consumed so much media around this, a lot of the talking points is around Jinx because of, I think, how well they handled her mental health issues. This could have very easily been a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, Harley Quinn situation, because we got the pigtails. This is a character that could very easily, and I'm sure very much is fetishized because of, like, the way she looks and things like that.
That's how she was before the show, actually. I
Correct.
remember there were a lot of people who were cosplaying her and doing stuff before she had any of this going on.
Yes, which again, it would have been the easy route because, like, that it was already set in there. But, like, I was even, like, reading a comment, which I think is really, really interesting about how long her hair is, where a lot of people will fetishize the whole pigtail thing. But, like, her hair is so long because she is stuck at that age and she will not cut her hair. So it's not like a sexy thing. It's a very sad, traumatized little girl who is very much stuck in that huge mistake she made as a very young child. And seeing it from that lens is just like, oh, this isn't again, Manic Pixie Dream Girl sexy thing. This is like, oh, deeply tragic and sad. And they could have gone the wrong way with this really easily, but they chose not to,
Yeah.
which was awesome.
It's a lack of care. Like, she doesn't care to cut her hair. She doesn't care to take care of herself. Like, it's not, like you're saying, it's not a manic pixie dream girl thing. It's not that. It's literally, she just couldn't care less. Like, it's that kind of idea too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's depression and trauma, PTSD.
No, it is kind of funny because her character design, in a lot of ways, like you said, Brie, like could very much be sexualized in a lot of ways. You know, she's wearing practically just a bikini, the longer pigtail hairs kind of thing. And I think her original design was playing off of that a little bit.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the League of Legends side, I don't know who they got to write this, but keep paying those writers because those writers need to get paid.
Yes.
But yeah, like going back to even like the thing we were talking about with her relationship with Silco, and there's like that like uncomfortable, like almost kind of relationship there. It's just like, whereas like again it contrasts this with Vi, where like Vi is like not sexualized as a character like at all. Period, end of sentence. And like again, like her relationship with Vander is like very like healthy and not, you know, kind of perceived in like kind of that way. And so again, going back to that whole contrast thing, and so the fact that the writers were able to make sure that that got translated very well is very impressive, because that could have gone the wrong way very quickly.
Absolutely. I think with a lot of these characters, honestly, because again, I only looked into this a little bit, but like pretty much like a lot of these characters, especially they're in the game, they're in opposition to each other. So eventually all of these characters have to hate each other. They're meant to battle each other. That's the plan. And this show chose a very, like, I don't know, Vi and Jinx, they could have like not liked each other right from the get-go. They could have been like, okay, well, you killed my whole family. We're not friends anymore. We're not sisters anymore. And then that's the conflict. But that would have been the easy route. And the show didn't choose that in any fucking stage. It chose building these relationships between all the characters above all else. And I think that's what's the most impressive about it. Even going to like the romance between Caitlyn and Vi, there's a lot of chat about like why they didn't kiss in the show, and I'm so glad they didn't, because the moment that they had on the bed where she just touches her face is like so intimate, which is in my opinion like even more intimate than a kiss would have been, because they were so much more concerned about building a genuine relationship between those two.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the music? I was interested in that.
I mean,
Stop trying to make Imagine
less
Dragons a thing. Okay, me and Steph are on the same page.
Other than that,
inside the episodes, I like the music. But
yeah. Other than the Imagine Dragons, I thought the original score was incredible.
Yeah.
And then all of the other needle drops were really good needle drops. So like, I really liked the music.
Pockets of Netflix shows that if they must all have the same people that are selecting the music or something, because there's like that in Umbrella Academy. There's like certain ones also from that like couple years during COVID where the music is really, really good and really well tailored to the TV show. And they pull from weird places. Like Umbrella Academy pulls from a lot of really weird places. And this one does too, where it's like a little bit of hip hop and then a little bit of techno-y kind of stuff. And then it bounces to Imagine Dragons, which are like, okay, sure, throw that in there. But yeah.
I was about to say, if I didn't have to hear the intro every single episode, like the one use of Imagine Dragons would have, I feel like, been like, all right, cool.
Skip intro button. I tell you this every week. Skip intro, and you're
I will skip the intro for it. I just
yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, and that episode that starts with that, like the band playing, like I was like, this is so fucking cheesy. Why are we doing this?
That was probably built into their contract for the show. But like
sure.
going back to kind of Megan's point, there is the aspect of a lot of these streaming services have different licensing like agreements with different things. That's why like, you know, shows you used to watch back in the day, like their theme songs or there's music in the show that they can't technically have, so they had to like redo like the soundtracks for those shows and those movies because they don't have the licensings right. Whoever has like the license.
I remember when Supernatural first came to Netflix, the CW hadn't gotten the streaming rights for any of the music, so they had to redub the first upload of it.
Yeah, so
Oh, interesting.
so some of these have their own kind of like licensing with different record labels and things. Like for example, like obviously Warner Brothers has the Warner Brothers music label, so they can pull from that whole catalog. Sony has their own music catalog that they can pull through, and then licensing just becomes licensing. It's annoying as hell.
I'm sure there was a
And
lot of good stuff on there though. But like to Meg's point, like it's like they did choose some like the two artists that came to mind right away is Ramsey and Woodkid, which are both really good artists. Arguably the best songs in the show. Not the most well-known artists, either of them. So I thought it was a very interesting choice because and I will say in general, this is my opinion, but League of Legends tend to like have great fucking music associated with their game. Not always, but they have a lot of artists that they partner with that make like these fucking bangers. So it didn't surprise me that the music was mostly very good for this show. But yeah, interesting choices all around. Anything else, friends?
I can't think of anything else I have. Any closing
I think
remarks?
we covered everything I wanted to talk about.
I did want to mention one thing just because for those of us who watch the show twice, this show is way more brutal the second time, I feel, especially episode 3.
Yeah.
The
I cried.
anticipatory, yeah, I was just saying, I was crying all of episode 3 because like the first time I had no idea what was happening, so I got so gut punched by that episode, and then now
You
just
get
like
so invested with those boys, and then it's like,
and they
Yeah.
just all die like within like a minute of each other. Like all of those characters die violently, and it's just like,
and you
oh,
see it multiple times. Like you see their bodies multiple times afterwards. It's not just like a quick, they're dead. It's like, oh, let's look back to the pile of rubble. And you're just like, oh, okay, sure. This is what we're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
do today.
it's
They
so
don't want to keep it
brutal.
ambiguous at all. They want you to know that these people
Like,
are.
Or no
it's like
coming back.
it's like this
Yeah.
is what just happened.
Yes. If you guys get a chance to watch it a second time, I would recommend it because yeah, that episode especially, like I was just like because everything's going so well, I was like, they're all gonna die. They're all gonna fucking die in this episode. It was like it was maybe more tragic, and yeah, I did. I cried the entire episode because I was just is that anticipatory like grief.
There's a lot more foreshadowing for stuff towards the end, like things that they line up when they're kids that you don't realize kind of going forward it's going to be a thing until you watch it the second time around as well. Like there's characters I didn't recognize from when they were kids that pop back in the second time because they're such like just flash in the pans the first 3 episodes.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh yeah, no wait, this one comes back to help out, and then this one's like with these guys, and I'm just like, okay, much better. It's good that they have like these set characters.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm glad you guys liked it. That makes me happy because I was like,
It's
if
really
they don't fucking like, I will quit this podcast again. So,
This will only be like the 5th time out of 8 episodes. So
exactly, we're doing great.
like we
Well,
still
there was
have
that
to
one episode she quit 3 times. So
Yeah, she quit 3 times in one episode. She's tried to cancel me twice.
You deserve better. No regrets.
Anyways, so I'm gonna go off script a little bit here, since we do have a guest host.
we have a script.
Did not receive anything.
I kept you in the dark on purpose, but we've talked about a few things that I know you have watched, Megan, previously on other episodes. I know that
Okay.
you are one of the few people who were a Has-Been fan while we were doing our thing. So I actually kind of want to go back to some of our old homework assignments. So give us a little
Okay.
bit of your thoughts on Has-Been.
So I am musical theater nerd. So has been instantly. I was like, oh,
What?
this is Repo the Genetic Opera in cartoon format. Like this is fine. I love this. I really liked Has Been. I wish they kept some of the original voice actors from like the YouTube pilot, but like super minor critique. Jeremy Jordan, all day, every day. I will take him in anything, in any format, anywhere. He's fantastic. He plays Satan.
Thank you. I was looking it up. I was like, I think that's.
She's just like, which one is that?
I was like,
Jeremy
yeah,
Jordan plays
sure.
Satan. He's won a bunch of Tonys. He's in Supergirl. He plays like the nerdy friend that she has that like builds a bunch of stuff. But he's fantastic. But I do like Hell of a Boss better. like me and my partner have gone through all of Hell of a Boss and waiting for the new second half to their season to come out because I just really like those characters better. Stolas is hands down my favorite from the whole franchise, so waiting for that.
I love that because I feel the exact opposite.
Oh.
Yeah, I the problem is, well, actually, let me ask you this. Did you like see the pilot of Has Been Hotel like when it came out? Are you a pretty new fan to like the series?
Brand new. Like it was one of those, I was bored doing dishes, got sick of One Piece, swapped over to like, oh, what's this? And yeah, just kind of watched the first episode and went, okay, sure. And then binge watched the whole series of that. Then went back around and found the pilot and then Hell of a Boss. So.
Oh, you found Hell of a Boss from that?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I do like Hell of a Boss. I will say because the episodes come out so infrequently, granted more frequently than like Has Been has. Tonally it's kind of all over the place. Like I'll have there's some like very weirdly, not weirdly, but like violent episodes that are like not to do with anything, and then they have these like deeply emotional episode. So it there's a lot of total whiplash in that show, which is my biggest issue with that. But I think they're both really great, and like I think her Vizzy's like creativity is like so amazing that she's come up with like this entire world and so many unique characters. So
I will say from watching Hell of a Boss after we did Has Been, watching it, I was just like, you could tell Has Been Hotel, you know, obviously they had the bigger budget, they had the bigger studio behind it, but they had more like industry people like putting in kind of their fingers.
Showrunners.
Yeah, they had showrunners. They had people who like, here's how we're going to do this. Hell of the Boss feels like this is the show Vizzy wants to make, or at least like it's where her ideas are the ones coming through more than anything else. And so like there's more freedom for the them to do certain things. Obviously, they still have to follow community guidelines to some T, which they definitely stretch those a little far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've only seen about the first season of Hell of a Boss. Once Emily found out about it, I had to stop watching because I have to have her catch up and watch it together. As soon as like I start watching something, she has to start watching something. I can hear her closing her book and being offended right now in the background. Yep.
So maybe it's not that bad being single. I get to just watch whatever I want whenever I want.
Exactly.
My partner doesn't like TV, so I just go, hey, I'm watching this, catch up. And then if he has, bonus. If he doesn't, then
so see, here's the
jokes
thing.
about, that afterwards.
Emily starts watching something and I get into it. Like I'm just like, don't bother like going back. Like I'll fill in the blanks. Like whatever. I start watching something, she gets into it. It's like, okay, now I have to go all the way back and start the whole thing over. And that's how that dynamic works.
Well, they just announced the second half of season 2, I think like literally 2 days ago. So that'll be coming out until the end of the year.
I thought there was like a trailer or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I just saw something drop recently.
Well, and I guess now the guy that does the voice for Blitzo, he's involved with some more of the writing and producing and stuff like that too. So I think maybe there's going to be hopefully a more cohesive story throughout the next little bits. Because it is a little all over.
Viz is very much known for being a little all over the place, to say the least.
Still good, still fun, and I still like that it's like a monthly upload that I get to look forward to. I was like, oh shit, a new Hell of a Boss, because they never exactly say when they're gonna drop it, and then it'll just show up in my subscription box. It's always a treat.
Yeah, it's a nice little surprise. I like that style of like you don't know when the next one's coming, but like when it's there, you're just like sweet.
Absolutely.
Like Defunct Land.
Yep.
Am I the only Defunct Land viewer here? All right, fine. Whatever.
I'll look it up after this, I promise.
Oh, you are gonna be mildly impressed.
What an endorsement.
Anyways, bringing up a little bit of... Go ahead.
It's a great channel about theme park rides. I'm just gonna say, it's wonderful.
Fair enough. Anyways, sticking with talking about some of the stuff from previous episodes, have you guys kept up with X-Men 97 at all since we last?
I haven't watched the last episode. I watched the one episode. How many are there now? Are there 6 episodes?
There's been 2 episodes since we last...
I watched the one right after. I did not finish it yet.
Okay.
Which show? Sorry, I didn't hear.
X-Men 97.
Oh, I got rid of Disney Plus.
That's fair. I'll send you my login information. It's fine.
Well, I mean, we are in Canada. We're all for 3-pointed hats in this household. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to know if we wanted to talk about the most recent episode, but if like we're not all on the same page.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, cool. Well,
But it's good. I recommend it. So definitely check it out if you haven't.
I mean, I have a original 90s Rogue cell somewhere in my closet.
there you
So-
go.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you didn't have that out ready to go?
Well, okay, so this apartment is one of those fun Vancouver, because it's a rental management company, we're not allowed to technically hang anything, and the frame it's in is too heavy for the stupid command strips. So I haven't been able to hang that.
It's good to know that these problems aren't exclusive to America.
Yeah, no, definitely here too.
Alrighty, well anyways, that brings us to our next subject, which this one I am going to assume was posted by Seth.
Yeah. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, it's bringing up the new Batman Arkham game, which was announced last week, I believe, or at least earlier in the week.
Yeah.
But it's exclusively a VR game, or VR
Exclusive to MetaQuest. Exclusively to MetaQuest.
And so the question I raise is, does anybody give a shit about VR anymore?
Yeah, I don't.
Not if you're grown up, I don't think.
I'm an old person. It hurts my eyes. It's fine.
It's fair. Well, I remember when VR was first coming out, I got like real excited.
Oh, you were
about it.
hyped. You were so
I was
hyped.
so hyped. And then I went to the Microsoft store here locally and tried the like Vive headset, and I was like, all right, that was fun. I don't need to ever do this again. Cool. All right.
Yeah, that's
I feel
exactly
like-
how I feel about VR. It's fun for like an hour.
The moment,
Yeah.
because like when you started getting hyped, it was because Oculus was like first doing its thing, and the moment that Facebook bought it was when we all collectively were just like, and I'm out.
Yeah.
I did one birthday party, and one of those, it's like they put you all in separate rooms and you do the VR thing together. And I was like, okay, this is good for birthdays. I don't need one. It's
And
good.
that's the thing though.
It's kind of the modern Rock Band, where it's like you just set it up in the corner and a bunch of people can play it while the rest of the party's happening.
One of your friends has it, not everyone has it. Like
Yeah.
you don't need multiple
Yeah.
people to have it.
Yeah, it is one of those things where like there's the novelty of it is always fun, but it's never something where it's just like I need to do this every day. I'm going to make this central to my life. And like Zuckerberg is constantly trying to make VR be a thing, and it's just like, buddy, it's not going to be a thing.
It's
And, like,
expensive. Oh my god.
Yeah, the cost of entry isn't there. A lot of people who try it, like, they get motion sick, or like it's there. The barrier to entry is just way too. There's too much friction to it, right? And like I think about this a lot, and I've had this conversation at work a lot of times because I work with marketing people who are like, "Oh, this thing's going to be the future. This thing's going to be the future," and I always have to argue with them. It's just like, what about that thing makes you think that everybody on the planet's going to have it? Like, explain that to me. Because the last thing that did it was the iPhone.
Yeah.
Well, I've thought about this when the Apple Vision Pro was coming out. I was like, it's just a computer on your face. Where's the practical application that makes me like want it? Make me want it?
Yeah.
Because cell phones, it's practical to have a GPS in your pocket at all times. It's practical
Yeah.
to have the entire internet in your pocket.
You really have
Yeah.
to at this point. Like it's just like
but,
you need to be.
But that was the thing.
connected.
Like, this thing had the lowest level of friction possible to ownership. Like, you could get it literally at any place that sold cell phones. They basically would pay you to take it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You got it in your hand, and the level of convenience, like, it's there, it's constantly there. We'll put all the apps, we'll put all the internet in your hands. We'll basically like put so much little friction on you being able to have it, and that's what made it this whole thing. VR does not have that. VR is the barrier to entry is way too high, and the problem with tech companies these days, and this has probably been the problem with them. The problem with tech companies in general is like they're constantly trying to like, what's the next big thing? AI, VR, throw any kind of thing out there. It's just like they're literally just throwing stuff at the wall and just hoping that that's going to be the next big thing, but they have to hype it up and act like it's going to be this huge thing.
And originally, cell phones were so interchangeable. Like, you could buy parts from like wherever and just piece together a phone. Everything's so proprietary now, like with the VR sets. Like, my partner has one that no longer works because it's like Google just stopped supporting. So it's just a hunk of electronics just sitting in a drawer because it's literally unusable.
But again, not cheap for that initial investment. I was just casually looking up, like the cheaper model is $500, which is a lot of money. Which is like we were talking about this, I think, last time. This is like why I'm a PC gamer now, because like it is much. I already have all the equipment, and if I want to buy a new game on Steam, like it's usually under $20. Like that is much easier for me to have. I can constantly update it. Why would I buy a fucking headset for $500 to $700 depending on the model that I'm only going to use occasionally, and again is probably not going to be usable in like a year or two. Like it's so much initial investment and not a lot of, unless I use it every day, which I would not. I'm also an old person. I'm sure I'd get motion sickness. So I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Technology has moved in very weird directions, and like I also kind of feel like, and I was thinking about this earlier because we talked about AI, I think a couple episodes ago, and I had this thought of just like technology has this like habit of like there's like one big huge advancement in some point, and everybody's just like, oh god, this is the future, but then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like I have to have that argument with so many people. It's just like, oh, AI is the future. Look how fast it's advanced. It's like, yeah, it advanced really quickly. But is it going to get any better now from where it's at?
And now we've got 2 AI products completely based around AI, the Pin and the Rabbit. And all the reviews of them are like, don't buy. It's not good.
Yeah, it's trash. But it's like one of those things where it's just like technology stagnates. Like smartphones have not changed that much like in the last 10 years. Like, yeah, maybe higher resolution screens, better cameras maybe in them. And like you get more memory or whatever else. But like as terms as like an actual piece of technology and what it does, they haven't changed. TV technology has not changed. Communications technology has not changed in like the last 10 years. It's just, you know, maybe gotten a little bit prettier, but in terms of its capability, it's not much different.
It's true. Yeah, we've been talking about VR since the 80s too. I think Scott the Woz has like a video about like the VR for, like in the 80s, and I'm just like, we've been talking about this for so long. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I feel like VR almost seems like a silly version of like it's the future. I was like, yeah, like when we were excited about like Tron and shit. Like it's just like I feel like that's not the direction we're ever going. They stop trying to make it happen.
There is a third Tron coming out, and that ride did just open. People are excited about Tron still.
I don't know. And I just like one of those, I expect way too much for the year that we're in, because one of my favorite short stories as a kid was about 2 little kids that their playroom was just like walls of VR savannah, and then eventually the lions come out and eat the kids. Like, I want a holodeck. Where are these things?
A holodeck is cool.
I would buy a holodeck. I would spend exorbitant amount of money on a holodeck. But like VR is, Aaron, like everybody's kind of saying, it's kind of reached as good as it's going to get. I feel like at least for a couple decades, and then I'm good. I'll wait. I'll be 70 and I'll check it out again.
Yeah, there are some like quality of life improvements that have been done. Like they've tried to get like higher resolution displays inside of the headsets so that like it looks better. I think the PSVR has OLED in them, so like, you know, the contrast is a little bit better. But like again, like these are technologies that already existed that you're just trying to supplement with what the technology actually is. And like trying to create this VR future that like the tech bros are so in love with because they read Ready Player One like one too many times as children. Just like don't get it. It's just like, dude, like stop trying to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
It's not
I can't afford groceries, so I'm not going to afford a VR set.
Yeah, it's like how about we try to figure out making the world more affordable and equitable to people. I don't know.
That's not good for the bottom line, though, Aaron. You have to remember, we got to keep that graph going up. Yeah.
Line always go up.
It needs to go up by making things cheaper, firing a bunch of people, and then giving ourselves lots of more money. I know how business works.
Capitalism,
we're
it's
not-
working.
Like, we're not making as much money as we used to. What do we do? I
Sad
don't know.
thing
Let's
is,
raise
it is.
let's
It
raise the
so
prices
is.
of the thing.
Working the way it's supposed to, just not
Yep.
for any of us.
Yup.
Yep.
I think I saw like a meme where it's just like the difference between like the system is broken and needs to be fixed versus the system is working exactly how it's supposed to and needs to be destroyed.
Yep.
It's just like, guess which one I fall under now.
Yep.
Oy.
I'm not
Yep.
building a guillotine in my garage. No, of course not.
Oh, no, we have full-blown plans at this point to buy a plot of land and build an eco house because it's cheaper than buying anything pre-built at this point.
So do you think you can get Bree in on that and then sponsor me and Seth to come live on it?
We keep joking we're going to start a cult because it's the only way to get affordable housing.
Well,
The amount of people in my life saying they're going to start a convent just because of living prices is a little
Tax
terrifying.
breaks. Tax breaks. It's a church.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I'll sponsor everybody. We're good.
it's like, we're here for the cult stuff.
Yeah.
And
Almost
especially with grocery
always.
prices in Canada. So I'm sorry about all of your grocery prices, Meg.
Oh man,
What's going on with
we bought a
Loblaws?
bread maker. We bought a bread maker. It's way cheaper at this point.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, considering the fact that it's just like I keep on looking at my budget at the end of the month. I'm just like, how am I still not? How am I still ending up at this space?
Yeah. It's miserable. We hate it here. That's our thesis.
Anyways, speaking of hating,
This
the
is not the
corporation-
life the 90s promised me.
Where's
What
the
happened to
VR?
live your dreams?
Well, we were supposed to move to Portland, and like apparently that got co-opted too. So like we're the dream of the '90s is dead, Seth.
When I first moved to Vancouver, I used to think a $350,000 to $400,000 house was expensive. I would kill.
If
I
you
would
could,
kill somebody.
if you could find me a $350 house right now, like I will, like
It's like, please.
I would take it right now.
Instantly. I couldn't afford this apartment for that, and this is like 500 square feet. So
Ugh.
insane.
Jeez.
Sorry, we ended up on another capitalism podcast, people.
We're always going to.
Yeah. It's my traumas and capitalism. That's what we always talk about.
It's our
And a lot of
generation
Star Wars.
talking about the weather. It's fine.
True. Very true.
All right.
Oh,
Speaking
it looks
of
like
being,
Biden's dropping some drones today. Huh.
Well, it is Sunday. I guess it's that time.
Jesus. Anyway, speaking of being upset with our corporate overlords, Helldivers 2, a video game we've talked about a little bit, still haven't played it, even though I keep saying that I'm going to. Is apparently in some hot water right now because they just announced that now PC players are going to be required to have it linked to a PlayStation Network account.
That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? What is the point of them doing this? I haven't done much research. I just think be mad.
So we can sell your data to the highest bidder, Seth.
Well,
So the
yeah.
next time they have a data breach, there's more data.
Yeah, exactly. So when North Korea is pissed off at Sony again, it's just kind of like, okay, so like we'll give this to you now. But yeah, no, that's basically what it comes down. And even the developers, they've even said like, look, this was a Sony decision. Like we have no control over it.
Is the studio Sony owned?
Yes. Or
Oh, okay.
it's
that
either
explains
Sony
a lot.
or the development of the game itself was in partnership with Sony. I don't know which is the most true, but basically, so that's why it's not on Xbox. It's only on PC and PlayStation.
See, I didn't know it wasn't on Xbox. I thought it was all platforms.
Yeah,
And was
so
just a third-party developer.
So yeah, it was developed with partnership with Sony, and then this has become a Sony decision, and everybody's more or less just kind of like, this makes no sense. Why do I need a PlayStation account if I'm playing on PC? And of course, it's because Sony's just like, because we want your data so we can sell it. That's what it comes down to. And it's just like, it's so dumb. And it's hilarious because I keep
I think
joking.
we
It's
need
like,
to ban Sony, personally.
says the one person who plays on PlayStation here.
Yeah, the only one here who has a PlayStation.
Oh no, that is my console of choice. But
Yeah.
since the new release of "You Don't Own Your Games," that's it. I'm done.
God, I know.
So it's team
I
me and
can't.
Bree versus team Seth and Megan now. So it's the PC crowd versus the PlayStation crowd. Why do you guys not want us to play your video games, guys? Why are you so against us?
I'm slowly switching to PC because my partner actually has a good one, and my gaming laptop can barely handle The Sims. So I feel it's getting better.
It's a big initial investment up front. I'm not going to say that it's not,
Yeah.
but as Bree said earlier, like once you get into those Steam sales where they're selling like games for like $2, it's peak. And not to mention being able to have Xbox Game Pass is like super great because like it's just like, oh hey, is that game on Game Pass? It is. Cool. I don't have to pay any money to play it. Let's go.
Viva Pinata all the time.
I'm trying to find other Harvest Moon-esque games right now. So
Well, have you played Stardew Valley? Because Bree will not shut up about it.
I haven't, but I have been playing, what is it, Wildflowers? That it was like an indie creator. It's really fun. You're a witch, but you also have to harvest things and help other people with your witch powers.
Wild
Wait,
flowers.
isn't that just what witches do?
Yeah,
Though?
it's great. I love it.
I will check that out. Absolutely. Super fun. But Stardew's also excellent. You should play
I
that.
realized recently that I had Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing mixed up in my mind for some reason.
Yeah.
And-
Well, Harvest Moon basically is the influence to both Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing in a lot of ways. Like you could actually on the Switch, if you get the Nintendo Network whatever thing that they do, the N64 has the original Harvest Moon on it, so you can play it on Switch.
If I get that, I'm playing GoldenEye. Like, that's the reason I would get that.
Yeah.
I started playing Breath of the Wild again last night, so that's gonna be interesting.
I saw you started your Mass Effect stream after months of talking about it.
Yeah, well, that's when Emily was officially out of town. It's just like, all right, nobody's here. Start playing Mass
Let's
Effect.
go.
Yeah. So like, I'll probably keep that up for a little while. But again, if Emily comes in and she's just like, I want to play Baldur's Gate tonight, it's like, all right, we'll play Baldur's Gate tonight.
I had to take a break. Too many hours.
How many hours in are you?
Oh, I hit like 360, I think, before I quit.
I was about to say, I think I'm like 400 hours now total, but like I've at least had one completed playthrough, and I'm on Act 3 again on one playthrough.
Yeah, I just tried the blood whatever one, and then I was halfway through. I was like, no, I'm good. I need a break.
The Bloodwood? Are you talking about the Dark Urge?
Yeah, that one.
I haven't
Oh,
beat
yeah.
it, by the way, I'm so sorry.
I
haven't
wanted
beat it.
I wanted to make Baldur's Gate a homework assignment, but I can't justify making Seth pay $70 to play a video game.
It's also
And I gotta be
such a
real
time
honest with you
commitment.
guys. Just not an RPG guy. I'm
And
sorry.
that's fair. I respect that.
Totally fair.
This is going to be Seth's last podcast today, so there's so much for being here.
So
I'm
we're
being fired.
It's like, so we're canceling
I'm
Seth
the replacement. Hi, guys.
Yes.
Surprise.
Shock.
Now. We,
Honestly, the show will probably be better off without me. Let's be real.
Shut up. I'm rehiring you.
I mean, like, it's just like, we're
Bree has a fear of success, just like me.
gonna have to sacrifice the sex appeal of Seth. So, like, you know, we'll have to make that up somehow, guys.
I did want to give some context really quick for the Helldivers thing, because I just researched it really briefly. So apparently a lot of countries don't have any access to the PSN
This is actually
network.
something I heard about. Yeah.
So and Sony is notorious for data leaks. So this is going to make the game pretty much inaccessible for a lot of people that, you know, paid money for it, presumably.
Yeah, I saw a lot of articles saying that the fact that there's countries that don't have PlayStation Network aspect, that means just like, you guys just can't play it.
Yeah, that's absolute bullshit. But, like, I just don't understand how that keeps happening, where you can take away something that you bought. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
They tried to make the argument that they were initially going to have to be connected to PlayStation Network, but like there was like complications at launch, so they just scrapped it, and now they're trying to bring it back. But even then, that's stupid to begin with. But it's just like, it sucks because you finally have like a game where like a lot of people, you know, really love the game. It was like a smash hit success that they had no expectation of it being as big as it is. And now Sony is basically trying to capitalize on it by like, let's try to get all these people in and make those conversions over to the PlayStation Network. And it's just kind of like, you guys are killing the whole entire thing. Mm-hmm. Stop killing it for the sake of capitalism. For the love of God, please stop.
Can we just have one thing, please?
Just one.
Remember when the biggest complaint about the game was how everybody's like, people don't understand propaganda.
Yeah.
And like everybody's like, no, we understand propaganda, but we also understand committing to the bit. Mm-hmm. Which is the only reason I wanted to play the game. Is just like everybody just seems to be having fun.
Yeah, it seemed like a really good, like for the most part, a really good community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like again, like and like because it was a PvE shooter, it's not like, you know, you get dropped into like a COD lobby and all of a sudden you're berated by racial slurs and homophobia. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just like, all right, guys, democracy, let's go get the bugs. It's just like, oh, okay, this is fun.
Let's go do a Starship Troopers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what the game was. I was like, sold, let's go. Alrighty. Anyway, so that covers all of our listed topics for the day. Does anybody have anything they want to throw out?
Anybody following the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef that's going on right now?
As of this morning, I've heard all about it.
I've only just been seeing that it's been happening, and the more or less thing is just like, so Kendrick is making Drake look stupid? Yes, okay, cool.
He demolished him. He decimated him.
Everybody's using Drake's legal name at this point because Aubrey has no business being called Drake anymore.
Yup.
I mean, I've been a Drake hater since Degrassi, so I'm just like, eh. I'm just like, so
that's
I'm
right.
Just
he
like,
was on Degrassi.
Yeah, in a wheelchair. Wasn't that even like a bar in Kendrick's thing? Like, wasn't there an actual Jimmy reference in there?
He
I don't know.
dropped so many tracks like
there's
one
a lot
right after
in Kendrick's. Yeah.
I did see like a really kind of good piece talking about like when rappers start beefing like this, and like they talk about specifically why aren't they bringing up them like, you know, talking to like 18 to barely legal girls and all stuff like that, and they were just like, because they all do that. And that's why they're not talking about it.
Kendrick did bring it up, though.
Yeah,
Kendrick brought it up. Kendrick brought it up, but like I think somebody was pointing out like when J. Cole was part of this conversation, why isn't J. Cole bringing it up? And it's just like, because J. Cole's doing the same thing.
J. Cole's scared of getting a track made about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically.
He made the right move, honestly.
At some point, shutting the fuck up is okay.
I saw a TikTok that was like, this is like wild that this is happening, but let's really think about the fact that it's just two people writing poetry about each other.
that was actually probably my favorite thing about it.
On it. They're just like...
Yeah.
I was about to say, it's all fun and games until we have another Biggie and Tupac on our hands. And it'll get a little real.
Hey, but more holograms.
No, because P. Diddy's in jail now, so there's nobody to kind of get in the middle.
Is he in jail, or is he still in the win?
He's on bail, I think, at this point. Like, it's him and his sons are all... They're under house arrest. Like, they're definitely... Stuff is happening, which I'm very excited for.
So here is my personal request to anybody in the legal system who has any ability to make this happen. Could you please get P. Diddy to share a cell with Suge Knight?
I was just going to say that!
Yes.
Because I feel like that is basically the culmination of the story that we need. We need closure. You know what I'm saying?
It was, when I saw it go down, I just sat there and went, yeah, of course. And then I saw 50 Cent's response to everything, and I was like, perfect. It's I loved rap and hip hop in the 90s, so that was just like amazing to watch, just everything go down with that.
It's really funny. Like, I ended up down like a rabbit hole like a while back in my algorithms, and a lot of it was centered around like the Biggie and Tupac stuff in that era, and people just talking about like, dude, if you ever ended up at any party where Suge and Diddy were in the same room, everybody was collectively just like, you do not talk to either of them, and if you are talking to one of them, don't let the other one see, because Holy shit.
Oh god.
It was like a lot of Wu-Tang guys just being like, we stayed the fuck out of that. We were just like, nope.
They did not mess around back then.
No.
Oy.
I think I heard once that Suge Knight like held Vanilla Ice over a hotel balcony, like
Yeah, I think I heard that one too.
30th floor or something like that.
Oh my god.
Oh, that guy was terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, back then they were legitimately in games. Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
That was the thing.
They were legitimately in games. So yeah, somebody's gonna do something like that.
Yeah, no, like if you, especially these days, if you go back and listen to Hit 'Em Up, like just hearing how unhinged Tupac gets, like especially towards the end of that song, you're just like, bro, you need help. And they were playing that in clubs. That was like a whole thing. Like that was like the biggest song at the time. But like I listened to that today, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Oh, so fun. Anyways, so TikTok and
expect us to spend that much time on 90s hip hop.
well, we're all 90s kids here. We you know, we need to reminisce about something.
Sure.
Remember the good old days when, you know, rappers used to kill each other?
They actually had records. It wasn't just like
Yeah.
vinyl.
Remember when you owned the music you bought?
Crazy.
No, because LimeWire.
Remember why you knew exactly why your computer was running slow and it was your fault?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had to buy a song recently and I didn't know how to do it. I was like, how do I buy a song? Where?
Honestly, so when I had to set up like the external like RSS podcast feed to make sure it actually went out to podcasting platforms to get it sent on iTunes, I actually had to have an Apple ID to do that.
Oh.
And the only way I could do that is by downloading iTunes and like having the whole thing set up. And I was just like, I do not remember iTunes looking like this at all.
Right.
I have no idea what I'm looking
Fucked
at.
iTunes.
Remember when they were how you got music?
Yep. And something being able to connect to iTunes was a feature.
The good old days.
God, we're getting old.
Remember when text messages cost 15 to send and 25 to receive?
Yeah, remember when your parents would yell about you about like, why are you writing up our phone bill?
Oh, ancient.
They
We're
just
all
have to
ancient.
call each other after 9 o'clock.
We were all Southern back then. So.
Everybody, even us Canadians.
I was about to say, I mean, I was Southern. I don't know what your guys' excuse is.
I landed on a voice, I liked it, and I was like, yeah, we're just using this again.
No,
Well,
I
like,
love it.
It's the generic, like, back in my day. Well, I guess we're at the unhinged part of the episode. But anyways, that covers pretty much all the topics I had, plus some added context. First off, I just want to say thanks, Megan, for joining us.
Yes.
It's so
Thank you.
lovely to see you. We absolutely miss seeing you, and we love having you, so
Yes.
we're more than happy to have you again. So the next homework assignment is Seph's homework assignment. So, Seph, what do you have in store for us next week?
So, I had a couple things in mind, but then us talking last week about BioShock Infinite, and then the art style of Arcane made me want to replay BioShock Infinite. So, if that's cool with you guys?
I'm
All right,
so
well, I
glad you're
guess I'm-
picking that because I really struggled with it last week. I was like, fuck, that's a great idea.
All right, well, I guess we're playing
Good.
BioShock Infinite, and I'll even stream my playthrough of it just as kind of like interesting thing. So get in on that. That would be kind of fun.
I haven't played it in years, so I like barely remember it.
Yeah,
Same.
no, I actually never played it. I was never into the BioShock series. I understand that, like, apparently, like, you could pretty much jump in any game and be, like, totally fine. So, and I think Infinite's especially that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Infinite definitely is.
Yep. So, cool. Awesome. So, anyways, I am TCK Media Productions on most platforms. We got That's F23. We got the Raccoonaloon herself, Bree, who you can find on Instagram or Twitch occasionally, which I don't know the last time she was actually ever on Twitch.
I don't know either. Also, I do have a new podcast. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug it here, but
Plug away.
it's called Game Birds. It's with me and my childhood best friend, and we just talk about indie games that we like. And similar to our format, like we have a homework assignment each time, and we talk about a different indie game. We are just trying to get through our wish list and all these games that we've had in our libraries forever that we've never played. So we just talk about a new indie title each time.
Very
Game
nice.
Birds.
Awesome. I'm going to check that one out for sure. And then, Megan,
I'm
is there
gonna say
anything
I
you
will
want to...
and then forget.
No,
I don't
I'll
think it's
probably do
anywhere
it.
yet. You're fine.
I'm always looking for a new podcast to just have to just fill my day when I'm not doing anything at work. So I'm more than happy to listen to Bree talk to friends about indie games. Why else would I have her on the show, Seth? Megan, is there anything you want to plug?
Not right now. I just wanted to join in and see you guys again. So this was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I know we talked earlier about possibly maybe having you on again as like a guest host, and we'll have a little bit more of a chat about that off of record. But thanks so much for being here, guys, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.